Hello all, welcome back. In the last video, we have discussed about the JavaScript framework and the basics of JavaScript modules. So today, we will be discussing about how to modify an existing JavaScript module. So before starting, we need to understand the basics of JavaScript widgets. So basically, in the JavaScript modules, we will be handling in widgets, where we will be dealing with widgets. So what's a widget? A widget is the most important building block of the user interface. Okay, or we can say in Odoo, most of the parts in the user interface or most of the components in the user interface are controlled using a widget. So basically, a widget can have a template linked with it. So the working will be like this. When that widget is initialized, it will be rendering that template and appending it to the user interface. It's a simple workflow. So there are some other basic things inside the widget lifecycle. Okay, so basically the working will be, there will be an initialization of the widget, then we will be rendering the template, and then we will start the widget. I mean, we will be appending the content in the user interface, and there is an event management system, which means we can capture or we can define events related to the elements within that template or within the scope of that widget. Okay, so there we will be capturing the events, for example, simply and click event or something similar to that. We will be capturing the events, and based on that events we can update the content or we can do some operations, something like that. So today we will be dealing with that point of sale. Okay, so here what I'm going to do is I will be modifying this action pad. Here you can see the action pad. There is a widget associated with this section, which is called the action pad widget. I will be showing you. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I will be capturing the click event associated with this payment button, and I will be adding a validation and some warning messages or something like that. We will do it. So before starting, we need to understand how this button is added here and how the click event is captured. So for starting, we can just inspect this element. There may be another methods for finding the things, I mean, where this is defined and how the event is captured. So I am explaining that method which I felt easy. So I am inspecting this element. Here you can right click on the element and we can see the inspect option here. So just select that one, and here we can see the element. So in the JavaScript, in most cases the events will be captured using a unique selector. I mean, we can have a class or an ID, something like that. The events will be captured using class or ID. That's what I meant. So here, this is our button. We can see there is a class associated with this button. So we will just copy this class, and we can search in the source code. So let's go to that point of sale module. Okay, so just like I mentioned, the templates associated with the widgets will be within this static folder. So within the static folder, there will be a folder called src. There we can see some folders. JS is there. I mean, the JavaScript files will be commonly within this folder, and there is a folder called XML. Okay, these files, I mean the files under this folder will be usually having the templates associated with the widgets. I'm searching the class here. Okay, we can see the button is defined here, which is inside the template called actionpad widget. So now we have found the template which contains the button which we need to modify. So now let's check where this to which widget this template is linked with. So for that we will be copying the template name, and let's go and search in the JavaScript files. Okay, here you can see the template is mentioned here, which is inside the screens.js file. Okay, just like I mentioned earlier, there will be a widget. So here we have the actionpad widget, which is extended, or which is created by extending the POS based widget. Actually, I have explained these things in the last video. So the basic working will be like this. For creating a new widget, we will be extending something like a base widget and creating a new one based on that widget. Okay, here they have extended the POS base widget and created a new widget called actionpad widget. So for this actionpad widget, they have linked a template. So the working will be like this. First they will initialize this template, then they will be rendering the template and starting the widget, which is not always necessary. And just like I mentioned, there will be an event management. So with this widget, they have not used any separate events. So I will just show how the events are captured or how the event handlers are defined. So this is another widget which has a template linked with it, and there are some events defined. So you can see the event is click and the selector. The first element will be the event name, click or on change or something like that. Then the second one, which will be the element selector, it's better we use a unique selector. That's not always necessary. That will be varying based on our requirement. So the second one will be the element selector, and the third one, which will be the function executed when this event is triggered. Okay, so that's it. We can go back to our actionpad widget. So now as you can see, there is the render element function. This is where the click event is captured right now. Just like you can see, this $off here, they have what they have done is they have selected the element using its class. This dot operator is used to select elements using its class. So if we are using ID of that element, we will be specifying hash here. Okay. So they have selected the element here, and they have added the event. There are many ways we can add the events. This is another method of linking a click event with this element. Here, since we have linked a template with it, this $, means here they will be checking the elements inside this template. Here we have this element with class pay inside this template, so we can easily access the element like this. Okay, now the click event is defined here. So whenever a click is occurred or click event is triggered, this function will be executed. So what we are going to do is we will be adding a validation here before executing the code written by Odoo. So for that we need to modify this widget. So before that we need to find within which JavaScript module this widget is defined. So let's go to the top portion. So just like what we have discussed in the last video, for modifying an existing JavaScript module we have to find its reference, and only then we can modify or create a new widget based on that. So here we can see that the reference is point-of-sale.screens. So I am copying this reference. Before that there is one more thing. First, before starting, we need to identify where this JavaScript module or JavaScript file is included. I mean within which assets or within which bundle. So for that we can just copy this file name and search the source code to find out where this JavaScript file is included. So it will be, that template will be mostly inside the views folder within the, in our case, within the point-of-sale module. I am searching the views directory here. So here we can see within the point-of-sale.xml file they have created a template with ID assets, and they have included the screens.js file here. So here we have to modify this template and add our new file inside this template. Within that new JavaScript file we will be modifying the actionpad widget, we will be modifying the screens.js JavaScript module, and we will be modifying that actionpad widget which is inside that screens.js file. Okay, for saving some time I have already done that. I have extended this template and added our JavaScript file inside that. I will show you the code. Okay, here is my templates.xml file. Within this file I have specified the ID of the template which I need to modify, which is point-of-sale.assets. Point-of-sale is the module name, asset is the ID of the template which we need to modify, and I have specified the path of my JavaScript file here. Okay, that's it. And after this we have to update the module. Only after that our changes will be considered by Odoo. Okay, now this is our JavaScript file. Here we will be we need to take an instance of this JavaScript module which is point-of-sale.screens. So let's copy the reference, and I am creating a new variable require point-of-sale.screens. Let us just console the value of this variable so that it will be easier for you to understand. Okay, after that we have to restart the service as well. Okay, Okay, we can see our console has appeared here. Okay, let's check. We can see so many objects within this variable. I will explain what are these. Okay, so within a JavaScript module we will be dealing with widgets. Okay, so a JavaScript module can have more than one widgets within that module. Okay, here pointer_cell.screens is a JavaScript module. It does have more than one JavaScript widgets defined. Okay, so if we go to the bottom portion of this file, what we are doing is we will be returning an object with all the widgets created inside this JavaScript module, or the ones which we want to return. Okay, suppose if this JavaScript module has only one widget defined inside it, we will be returning only that widget. It will be something like this. Suppose if this screens.js has only one widget, receipt screen widget, we can return it like this. We will just return that widget only. It will work. Okay, now we have to modify the actionpad widget. So the actionpad widget is inside the pointer_cell.screens module. So we have taken the instance, or we have taken the reference of that JavaScript module here. Now this is the content of that instance. Here we can see our actionpad widget. Now if we open that actionpad widget, we can see some options here. Here two things which we need to consider, I mean the common ones, which is include and extend. Here the include is used to modify this widget, I mean the actionpad widget. Okay, and the extend, which will be used to create a new widget. So it will be like this. Suppose if we need to create another widget by keeping this actionpad widget as base, or we can say I need to extend this actionpad widget and create a new one. Something like in Python, we can create a new model by inheriting an existing one. So it will be like that. Okay, now we can proceed to extend the actionpad widget. So within the screens there are many widgets, so I am accessing the actionpad widget. Okay, now I have the actionpad widget. Now I need to modify this widget, so I will be calling include method. Okay, now we can do what we need to do. I mean, we need to modify this function. So our aim is to capture the click event and add a validation there. So here in this case, that click event is captured inside the render element function. Actually there are so many ways of capturing the events. This is one of the methods. So in this case, if we need to capture the click event, we need to modify this render element function. I mean, we may need to overwrite it completely. So I have copied that and pasted it here. Okay, here we will be adding our validations here. I mean, before executing the existing code, we will be adding our validation here. So before that, there is some other things which we need to consider. there is a variable used here. We have to define that, which is underscore. So it is related with this one. This is something like translation or something. We don't need to consider that right now. So anyway, for the working, we have to define it. This one, which is a part of the core. So we have to define the core as well. Okay, I have provided the dependencies. Okay, now you can see how we can find the total or subtotal. Here we can see a variable called order. Let us check what is the content of this variable. Okay, I am restarting the service, reloading the page. Okay, when that click event is triggered, we can see the order here. Actually, this is the current order. Okay, so the subtotal will be somewhere here with this order. Okay, let us see. We can see the variables inside this object. We can see the subtotal is not here. So we can go and check the functions associated with this object. Okay, with this object we can see a proto. This is the prototypes linked with this object. So we can open it. Here we can see some more functions. Let us check for the subtotal or total. Okay, we can see the get subtotal function here. We can directly call if here we have access to this object, so we can directly access this function. Let us see what will be the content of the function or the content returned by this function. Okay, I am restarting the service and reloading the page again. Okay, yes, just like we have expected, that get subtotal function is returning the subtotal of the current order. So what we need to do is we will be capturing or we will be validating the subtotal from here. Okay, I am creating a new variable of the subtotal. Okay, now if the subtotal is, let us say, if the subtotal is below 5, we will be showing a 1. Okay, right now I am just showing an alert message. Okay, here in the pointer cell, Odoo has some predefined warning message templates. That is, I'll show it some sample. Here in the JS folder, we can see a file called popups.js. Here we can see so many widgets, pop-up widgets. That means they have made their own templates for pop-up messages. I mean something like a warning message or error log or something like that. We can use if needed. I'm not going to use it right now. I have just mentioned it here. Okay, so what this code is supposed to do is it will be checking that order subtotal. If it is below 5, it will just show a warning. Now let's check. Okay, I'm removing this current order. Okay, let's reload the page. Okay, now for the current order, the total amount is 39, so it's not supposed to show any warning, just like we have expected. No warning. Now let us set the amount below 5. Okay, now we have the subtotal which is below 5. Okay, just like we have expected, based on when the click event is captured, our validation has done, and the warning message is shown. Okay, that's it for today. Now what we have done is we have modified the actionpad widget, and we have modified an existing function. Okay, this is how we will be modifying the existing widgets. Just like this, right now we have modified the screens.js. Just like this, we can modify any other widgets. There are some exceptions only in the case of this models.js file, because for the widgets defined within this models.js files, we cannot include them. We need to use the extend method to modify the widgets defined inside this models.js file. Okay, we can discuss about that in our next video. Okay, this is enough for today. Thank you. Have a good day.